Hello, hello. My name is Brock Rago. This is my first semester here at SAGU. It's been pretty enjoyable so far. I'm here on a football scholarship, so it's kind of late right now. We just got done with our first real scrimmage of spring ball, so I'm a little sore. I'm definitely tired. I'm a little beat up, but that's part of it. So the book that I chose to read was The Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I can't really see it. Um, it was a tough read, mostly because I don't read a whole lot, and I never really thought hard about the idea of reading things to help me grow in my faith and take steps to actively grow in my faith. So most of that just comes from my background. I grew up in an AG family. My grandpa's a missionary, so he's very active in that field. And I just sort of assumed that I was on the right path just because of where I was brought up and the life that I've led so far. So it was definitely a challenge to read this book and apply it to my life. Definitely a couple of the things that I would take from it are his outlook on grace. Grace is something that's very, very dear to me because I've always been able to give other people grace, but I've never been able to give it to myself. I always hold myself to a much higher standard, and I'll always beat myself up in a situation where I would need to give grace to myself. I never really do. So it's definitely a challenge to apply that to myself, especially reading that there's a cost to grace. There's a difference between cheap grace and costly grace. He says that cheap grace is the grace we bestow upon ourselves, the preaching of forgiveness without requiring repentance, baptism without church discipline, or communion without confession. Cheap grace is grace without discipleship. So that was tough for me to apply that to myself because it's not only important to give grace to other people, but you need to be able to allow yourself grace because you're not always going to be perfect. And that's something it's a tough pill to swallow for me because I'm a perfectionist. Like I hold myself to a very high standard, and if I drop below those standards, I don't give myself the grace that I would need to, be gracious. Like I'm on myself. Like I'm upset with myself for not being able to meet those standards. So that's definitely one thing. And then another thing is he has a whole chapter devoted to loving your enemies and forgiving your enemies. And that sort of ties in with the grace that I'm able to forgive them if they wronged me, but I won't forget that they wronged me. I'll always have that sort of notion and that look to them that you wronged me. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust you the way that I did before you wronged me. So it's definitely a tough read to be able to read all that and find a way to apply it to my life because those are definitely two areas that I struggle in. So overall, it was a really good teaching book for me. So I'm very happy that I picked this book unknowingly, and it would actually apply very much to my life. So yeah, that's my book report. I hope you enjoyed it.